Hey there, Get Up and Go Day 24. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with our Get Up and Go 30-day challenge. Yesterday we talked about and we selected another one of the 7 major areas of our life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, or contribution. And we picked that and we walked through the challenge process. We went through the whole challenge process for that thing, or we stuck with the one that we picked originally. I went through the very uncomfortable exercise of talking through and going through the challenge process for my personal relationship. And then we shared in the action items what one thing we did about that yesterday, what one action we took. I phoned a friend to see if they knew anybody that I could date. Not that anyone's dating these days. Thank you, COVID-19. Thank you, coronavirus. See, there's always hidden silver linings, even in pandemics. So I did my action item, and today we're gonna stick along the track of that. I want you to continue to work, and every day, again, we're gonna do one thing every day to move us toward what we want in that area. So you did your one little action yesterday. I want you to pick another action today, or do that same thing again. Maybe I'll phone another friend today. I guess I'm stuck now carrying through on that till the end of the challenge, at least, since I used that as an example yesterday. I really wanted to do my health because there's a couple things in my health that I've let slip during the pandemic and I need to get back on. But guess what? I'll do those anyway, right? Because I already know what to do with respect to those areas. So part of what comes up for me and why that's a really uncomfortable topic and area for me is because of the things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a couple of things I learned predominantly decades ago, right? We learn a lot of things and we don't apply them or use them in our life, or we do it on a subconscious level and we don't even realize that we're doing it. The things I want to talk about today are pain versus pleasure, learned from Tony Robbins at least 30 years ago, could have been 40 years ago, but was first exposed to the concept of we human beings will do way more to avoid pain than we will to gain pleasure. Now, I was thinking about this today with respect to our hair. Right now with the pandemic, a lot of us are having funky things go on with our hair, right? We're not being able to get to our hairstylist and get our hairs cut and colored. My son's hair, he looks like Ash from Pokemon. His hair is about this tall and curly. It's just hilarious. My bangs are in my eyes. Everybody's struggling with something as simple as our hair, right? And if you've ever tried to grow your hair out, if you ever wanted to get a different hairstyle, or if you ever got a different hairstyle and then you have to get used to that, you know what I'm talking about. We're struggling during the transition period of getting used to a new hairstyle, or our hair growing out as it transitions and transforms us, and it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable during that time. And sometimes you say you're going to grow your hair out. Hey, I want to grow my hair long so I can wear it up for a certain event. And then about halfway there, you're like, I can't take it anymore, I can't do anything with it, and you just go get it cut anyway in the style that you've always had it cut in, instead of making that change. Because the pain of having to deal with and the frustration of trying to fix your hair during the interim period is greater than knowing that you've had this haircut all along. You can just go and get this haircut and you'll feel better and you'll be fine. So pain versus pleasure. We do that with our money. We do that with most areas of our life, right? We stay in relationships much longer than we should because we're afraid of the uncertainty of what's going to come if we get out of that relationship. Or we're afraid that the negative impacts of us losing that relationship on ourselves or other people will be worse than the unknown. So, pain versus pleasure. Have you found that in your experience, you will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure? I'd say just do a little inventory and try to think of some examples in your life where you've actually done that, because all human beings do it. We like to think that we don't, but we do. We decide and we will make decisions emotionally, and it's usually driven by pain or pleasure. And when you work things down, you'll see so many examples of that in your life. Now, once you're armed with that information and you know that, a lot of times, whether it's in your control or not, you'll work through the challenge longer, and you'll stick to it and move toward what you want through the pain. Let me give you another example of pain and working through the pain to get to the other side of it. I've had a lot of years of pain, chronic pain and challenges, physical challenges, due to arthritis and inflammation and things like that from my early 20s. And part of the time I was bedridden, and first time that happened, it was 3 years. I was literally bedridden for 3 years before I had to figure out how I was going to get out of that situation and overcome that. And then over the years, I've had different health challenges, but about 2 years ago now, I was making some changes in my life, and I was traveling, and I was walking every day and doing things that were good for me, and I sprained my ankle. And when I sprained my ankle, it somehow triggered all my old inflammation from before, and especially in my 20s again, and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't walk. I couldn't physically make it to the bathroom. It was ridiculous because I was in so much pain. And I immediately went into problem-solving mode, because I was like, I can't live like this. I can't not get out of bed again. I'd been there. I'd done that. I wasn't going to do it again. So I looked for different solutions and found them, this time in 3 weeks, because I knew the pain was bad, but I also knew that if I didn't take a massive, active interest and approach in finding the solution myself, I wasn't gonna find it for at least 3 months, because I wasn't gonna be able to see a specialist for 3 months because they were booked out that long. They didn't care that I couldn't walk, that I couldn't get out of bed, that I couldn't make it to the bathroom. Only I cared about that. So I had to figure out how I was gonna short-term overcome the pain to get to the other side of it. I learned through my experiences with pain that I have to keep moving. I have to always keep moving. Every single day I have to keep moving. I can't sit or I don't choose to sit for long periods of time, because I freeze up and then it's super hard to move. And when I first start moving, it really, really hurts. But I know once I get moving, things get better and they loosen up and the pain subsides. But it's getting over that big initial hump of the increased pain that is the hardest. And once you get through that, then you get to the other side of it. But most people that have pain, and I was actually just talking with my son about this yesterday because he has chronic pain due to a car accident. Most people that have chronic pain, and I actually taught him about the move thing. He moves all the time, and he's super duper active because he knows that if he doesn't, he actually gets worse. But most people that have chronic pain won't work through that little bit of extra discomfort and pain to get to the other side of it, because the pain shuts them down. Pain shuts us down faster than anything else on the planet. And it's good because it's a warning sign that there's something wrong. There's something wrong inside of our bodies or with our bodies, and pain is a signal that there's something wrong. The challenge with chronic pain is that the pain signal fires all the time, and it's firing all the time, but there's still ways to trick it and get around it. It's a huge passion topic of mine. So, pain. We'll do way more things to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. And that shows up in all of the choices and all of the things that we do. And we want to just be aware of it so that we know that sometimes we need to choose a little bit of increased pain to get on the other side. Now, I also want to talk about pain triggers things in us, right? It triggers us to shut down. It triggers us to say no. It triggers a lot of things. It triggers us to separate ourselves and feel alone. Triggers are anything that cause an automatic response in us. My ex-husband, man, he knows every one of my buttons to push and every trigger that work on me. And people have that effect on us. We have that effect on ourselves. There are certain smells, certain sights, certain sounds, certain experiences that we've had that are so linked to some strong emotion of the past that even smelling a smell can trigger an emotional response, an emotional feeling in us. If I smell the smell of my grandmother's sugar cookies that she used to make for us for my entire life, that will automatically trigger a feeling of warmth and love and appreciation in me. If my ex says, "You got a minute, got a second," that'll automatically trigger my defenses and my walls go up, because I know he's going to lecture me or try to hit me up about something negative, right? So we have these triggers, good and bad, in us, and we want to be aware of them, because as soon as we're triggered, we start to automatically run a pattern in our behavior. We automatically respond to triggers based on how we responded to them in the past. Now that can be good. If it's I feel thirsty, I'm going to eat. I have to go to the bathroom, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Those kind of triggers are good. But there can be triggers where, like the emotional trigger with the ex, that I automatically put my walls up and I am defensive and concerned about the interaction, because my pattern, that's been my pattern, or I automatically get argumentative as well because I want to protect myself, and that's my pattern. And I want to know and be aware of my patterns so that I can choose to continue the ones that work for me, just like habits, and get rid of the ones that don't serve me anymore. And our patterns lead us. What we want to do is we want to question our patterns. We want to question the patterns that we run. We want to keep the ones that serve us and then question and get rid of the ones that don't, and replace them with another pattern and another trigger. We can create our own triggers and trigger ourselves. If I want to have a lot of energy and be excited and be ecstatic about something, I can create actual physical triggers to increase my energy. I used to go on, I like to walk a lot, and I used to go to the state park when I lived really close to it, and I would walk, 3, 6, 10 miles a day. And I always picked the route I was going to go on, and then I would work up to the halfway point, and then I knew everything after the halfway point was downhill, and I was already halfway there, so no problem. I was going to get my goal for the day. But sometimes I would need a boost in energy, so I created a movement and a spin that automatically gave me a boost of energy. It was just a trigger to increase my energy. I was still as tired as I was before I did it, but it somehow lifted my spirits and triggered me to give me a little boost of energy and keep me going throughout the walk and to go the distance. So today I've got a little exercise for you from a little just quiz thing from an activity from the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff workbook. It's about uncertainty, because one of the most painful things that we feel is uncertainty. If we're not certain if someone loves us or not, or if we're not certain about a relationship, we feel uncertain. If we don't know how it's going to turn out. Right now, we're all in this global pandemic together, and nobody knows how it's going to turn out, right? We know there's going to be change. We absolutely positively know it's already been changed. We know there's going to continue to be change. We don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know how it's going to affect the planet. We don't know how it's going to affect the economy. We don't know how it's going to affect anyone. And the only person that we can actually impact the effect it has on is ourselves, and through ourselves, the people that are closest to us, right? Or the people that we do choose to influence and impact. Now, the not knowing part is the hardest part. Uncertainty, human beings have a need for certainty. We like variety, uncertainty, but we also have a need for safety and security and certainty. And in uncertain times, it's really frustrating for a lot of us. So I picked the Get Comfortable Not Knowing exercise, and I'll take a couple pictures of it and put it in the comments so that you can do it. But basically, it just gives us 10 different scenarios and says, and then 3 choices of how you would handle that scenario. And they're all, of course, examples of uncertainty. And we are in this huge time of uncertainty. So I thought it would be an exercise that really helps us to feel comfortable, to feel more confident, and to feel better that and about our ability to handle uncertainty. Because guess what? Absolutely positively, every single one of us have lived through 100% of all of our days before. And we woke up in the morning and our survival of that day was not certain. Yet, 21,000 some days, I have shown up on the planet. A couple of days I tried to not, but for the most part, every day I've been here. I'm certain that I've lived. None of us know when we're going to expire or pass away or transition or die. None of us know. We've never known. This time is no different than any time that we faced in the past, except that there's a global, we're having a shared global experience. And there's challenge in that. There's also huge opportunity. There's, each of us are still responsible and 100% responsible for getting ourselves and our personal situations dealt with during this time, and it's an individual experience for each of us, yet we're all having the same global experience, which is never in my lifetime have we gone through this. The closest I've come is probably 9/11, when everyone in America was having that experience, but it was still different because it affected all of us, but we weren't all personally involved in it. This baby, we are all personally involved in, and it's up to each and every one of us to decide what we're going to do, how we're going to respond to the uncertainty. So do this little quiz today. That will help you with the uncertainty. And then share one thing that triggers you. I love triggers. I hate them, but I love them because like anything else, we can use them against us or for us, just like habits and things. So just share one trigger that you have. I think I shared a couple of mine. One is, and not if anyone asks me this, but if my ex-husband asks me, you got a second, you got a minute, he'll call up and ask that, or he'll show up and ask that, and it's just like automatically the walls go up, right? And I've gotten better about it, but I still have work to do on that one. And there's just triggers like that. So share one of your triggers, good or bad, in the comments below, and do this exercise. You don't have to share it, just do it for yourself, because it will help you feel better about uncertainty. And if we can feel better about uncertainty in uncertain times, that's always moving us in the right direction toward what we want. The way to not feel uncertain, by the way, is to be proactive. Do what you can with what you've got right now. Be resourceful, be positive, work on your mindset, and keep moving forward. Do things like this challenge, and I guarantee you will be better off when this pandemic ends, post-pandemic, than you are even right now after going through 23 days of the challenge already. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, if you have any questions, ask in the comments below. That's what I'm here for. Take care. Bye. See you tomorrow.